Welcome back to the We Valiant Few podcast. I am one of your hosts, Crossfire.
Raptor. Slapshot.
And returning guest.
On Tour is here.
Welcome back on tour.
Thank you.
Today we will be doing another Real Talk segment. If you haven't tuned into one of these before, this is basically an off-the-cuff type episode. We really don't have a...
We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're doing. As if that blank didn't really kind of,
cover it.
I think up until this point, we still haven't had any idea what we're doing.
I don't know if we've had any idea what we're doing the entire time, to be
We're
honest.
trying to fold the smoothness in our brains.
You bet we are.
We're trying to fool you guys to make you think we know what we're doing, but we really don't.
Yes, that's true. The thing that we will do that we do every episode, I think the way to start it off, is asking everybody to like and share what we're doing here. If you're on YouTube right now live, it's easy to do. You can hit that subscribe button, share it.
J-Dam that like button.
J-Dam the like button, yeah. If you are listening to us after the fact, you're on a podcast platform, you can share that. Or you can find us at youtube.wevaliantfew.com. You can find us on our website, wevaliantfew.com. Instagram at wevaliantfew, facebook.com/wevaliantfew, and we're back to Discord again, which is discord.wevaliantfew.com. Pretty much sums it up.
It's a lot of links.
A lot of links, all on the website.
Lots
wevaliantfew.com.
of ways to interact.
Tons of ways to interact. So there's the off-the-cuffness of it.
Yes.
I was going to talk about a couple of things that are going on that I think are absolutely crazy and awesome.
Okay.
About do. The current event I had two of them. The first one was Trump suing Facebook, Twitter, and Google
for
deplatforming him because there was a case that was against Trump because he blocked certain individuals. They blocked him, and as a result, those individuals said that he was impacting their freedom of speech because they couldn't interact with him. So that was a couple individuals versus one person. Now he's making the case that if he was taken off the entire platform, it was a violation of his freedom of speech.
Well, if that were to actually, say he did that and had the lawsuit and it went up and he won, that I feel like would set a precedent for removing other people from these platforms. Would it not?
If he won?
Yeah.
No, it would be effectively what would happen if he wins is it would force a Section 230 reform.
Right, that's basically what I'm saying is it would, as a consequence of him winning, it would cause other people basically to be able to do the same thing. But 99% of the time,
no, you're doing. If he loses, that would be the case because they would give them. If he lost, that means that they can unilaterally take whoever they want off the platform. If Trump wins, that means that the whole one-sided persecution that they ignore what's going on their side and only enforce on our side.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That doesn't happen. That's exempt now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If he wins,
that's not at all what I understood. How you were saying.
That's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, no, I thought you meant they were gonna kick more people off the platform.
No.
Took a really
not
long
even.
back road to get to understanding that one.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So if he wins, it's good. But I don't think I don't think he's gonna win because there's too much of a monopoly on those three groups alone that they're going to pay somebody off.
Well, I mean, everyone else that's ever tried to sue them for similar things, it never goes through anyways. So
it never goes through, and it's gonna take too long. Because when Trump kicked that person or blocked a couple people, that was 2017, I think, 2018, and it literally was moving to the Supreme Court when they kicked Trump off the platform.
Right.
Because they actually agreed with the people that got kicked off. They're like, yeah, Trump, you violated their freedom of speech. And it went to the next court, and they agreed. And it went to the next court, and they agreed.
So what if I block somebody?
Yeah. Well,
I'm not Donald Trump. Is that the problem?
Yeah. What
the fuck is the difference?
Well, this
you have a representative of the United States.
So?
That their platform turns into a political forum.
And by them blocking you, That's a really muddy.
It gets muddy, yeah.
That turns your right as a user to use the block feature into a very sticky, interesting type thing.
Yeah.
As a political official.
What
or
should
public
have
official.
what should have happened is they should not have ever agreed on the people that Trump blocking the people and agreeing with the people. They should have never done that because that opened up Pandora's box. Because now what happens is that is in law. That's written into law. Not laws in the sense of they passed a law. That's written
like case law?
into case law. Yeah, so that's something that they can be like, well, this case was passed here, and they can reference it. It's a permanent case law.
Right.
Even if it goes up and gets appealed, they have all these lower cases that have been agreed
that have
on.
rolled on something similar.
Yeah, so it goes into case law, which they should have never done that. I don't care if it was Trump or Biden or whoever. They doing that set a dangerous precedent. Like the judge that was in charge of that was a lunatic. Mm-hmm. Not just one, but everyone the whole way up. Like I said, there was the whole way up through state courts and everything, and they were, we're agreeing with these people that he violated their First Amendment rights. It's like, this is insane.
So the only thing that I can see is if there is a specific account made for, like a business account type thing made for the president of the United States.
Which I think they do. Like on Twitter, it's the @POTUS account. Yeah. But
that should also be disconnected from the individual.
Correct.
It is. They have a person on staff at the White House that runs that account.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
As an official extension of the White House.
It's like part of the cabinet.
It's not a cabinet.
No,
it's
basically
just
it's a president media dude.
Yeah.
It's basically an intern.
Yeah.
It's probably an intern.
The most high-level Twitter user there is.
Right. Intern.
I work for the president. Oh my God. What do you do? Twitter. Jeez. I need to get a longer cable for this. Yeah, but that's something we'll have to see how that works out. Maybe we might still be alive if something happens by then, because it's going to take about 150 years for it to go through.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like it's like nothing's gonna end up happening with it anyways. It's just for media. It's just for media recognition. It's a headline.
All it is.
It's a headline.
It's another.
It's to get people riled up.
You can even see my topic underneath there,
Yes.
the subtopic. Nothing will come of it.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a bunch of money to throw at this. Why not?
Yeah, it's just a media headline to get people riled up, and
He should just make his own platform.
cause a-
That's not franked.
The thing with making your own platform is it's never gonna catch on.
If it was Trump that did it though, because he has enough.
You're gonna get
he
like
has
the
a lot of-
boomers.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna
You
get
are
any.
you are going to. Well,
And like whenever it comes to creating a platform, there's a reason why there are like these nodes of like massive community, like YouTube, like Instagram, like Twitch, like they all, I guess, provide a different.
they were the first ones to do whatever they were doing
They
on a level that it was noticeable.
YouTube, yes,
Yes.
not necessarily Instagram or.
Well, Instagram grew after Facebook acquired it. It's when it really took off. I mean, it existed before that, but Facebook's acquisition and then subsequent promotion of it is what really made Instagram.
Well,
take off.
Instagram was going up way before Facebook.
It was, but Facebook helped it.
I don't think on a scale that it was as meaningful as you think it is.
I definitely think Facebook helped it scale, but it was already scaling.
I had an
pretty high to
Instagram
begin with.
before
Yes,
Facebook owned it.
So did
Yeah,
I.
so did I.
Like Instagram, honestly, I think most people will agree with me on this. Is that Instagram is like I would argue a better platform than Facebook
Oh yeah, it is.
nowadays, because sharing pictures with a caption, in my opinion, is just much more interesting than going
Just a
on
post.
Facebook and seeing all of your boomer relatives complaining about stupid things on Facebook.
Well,
or
at the
showing you pictures of their kids
Yeah.
or something.
Well, at the
That's
time, but
essentially
that's
what it
also
is.
that's a extension of the community that those platforms bring in.
Mm-hmm.
What community? Like most older people don't have an Instagram.
Right.
They have Facebook though.
Because it's easy use on that.
Yes.
It's very, very low like capacity to run Facebook right.
I mean,
I would say it's the same thing for Instagram
it's
too.
pretty much the same for all.
Yeah,
of them.
but
And the same thing for Twitter.
Twitter, yes. So Instagram, the problem is the pictures. I don't think a lot of boomers want to take random pictures of themselves,
Well, they
like
can-
selfies and stuff.
can
I mean,
do
it-
that,
and I don't think, no offense to anybody, I don't think we want that either.
I mean, We
We
have
don't-
this.
I
We have
think-
this nice camera now, so like you can just kind of like visualize every picture of a boomer on Facebook
Oh,
ever
God.
as being like.
Yeah, but but I think the
Thumbnail
the
that.
picture side of Instagram is what pushes them away from it.
I
And-
do too.
and
I
then
agree.
it's just on a large, like for the 30,000 foot view, because Facebook they can get on, they can see other family members that they don't know how to text,
Yes.
and they can
Cell phones are hard.
Your cell phones are hard, and they can sit there and they can type out their angry letters to think that they're doing something.
And if you guys remember, whenever we were in high school, how we all had Facebook, and then all of our parents started getting Facebooks, and we
It's-
were just like,
it's such a
what,
move
what,
to
what can we
something
go
else.
to now instead?
It's
And
the
then-
generational trickle down that
Right.
always happens. It's like the youngest generation or the generation after that, like that's like the high school generation, call it, finds a fad, and then it trickles its way up, and then trickles its way up, and then trickles its way up. It's always been that way.
Yeah, we all made our ages really high so we could get a Facebook when we were in like elementary school, junior high, and then
I didn't get a Facebook until
I did not have Facebook until I was in like 7th grade.
Yeah, junior high.
yeah, that's when I got mine.
Yeah, it's-
regardless.
I was on Twitter in like 9th grade.
I
Twitter
made a
was pretty
Twitter, and I think I looked at it once, and then I deleted it and
Yeah.
never looked
So
at it
I
again.
don't
Twitter's
use
bad.
I don't use my like IRL Twitter account anymore that's like connected to people from high school and stuff. I have a secondary Twitter account that I use to follow like games news and stuff.
Gun channels.
Yeah, that doesn't exist on Twitter.
Yeah.
My Instagram is completely based. It's cars and guns.
Yeah, it's like you can go on Instagram now and just look at professionally edited and tweaked
Yeah.
photos, which is one of my favorite things about Instagram is like what does your explore page look like? I'm sure if you go on there it's just like a ton of fucking pictures about with cars and guns
Yeah.
Cars.
that are edited very
So
well.
not guns
and gym
because
stuff.
guns don't show up on the explore page.
They don't.
They do for me.
Yeah, they pop up on mine.
Yeah.
Because I got guns, cars, usually tons of shit about stoicism, because I only like 50 different pages of that. And what's the other one? Business related things.
Like 90% of it for me is cars, but yeah.
I would say Instagram's is not very, but more pro free speech.
No, it's
No.
not.
No, it's
No,
It
it's
is
not.
owned
It's-
by
I don't
Ins-
think so.
owned
I mean,
by-
I know,
owned
yes,
by
I know,
Facebook.
I know it's owned by Facebook.
Not only
But,
that,
like-
it's not like it's a separate entity.
No, Strip has the same
They're
ideology as
basically
Facebook.
the exact
So
same
then
thing.
why?
Because okay, so look at Facebook. Look
Okay.
at the kind of content and how quickly you can spread stuff on Facebook.
Right.
On Facebook, you can write just a wordy post and then post it, and then everyone and their mother on your friends list, because everyone's friends that you've ever met basically on
It
Facebook.
can have hundreds or even thousands of shares like that if
Yeah.
if it gets around
If it's
correctly.
clicky
Whereas
enough, yeah.
if you post something on Instagram, there's the only share function is sending individual shares, and nobody's doing that except
or
for
like
Reels.
copying people on their stories.
Right.
Is usually the only way that stuff gets out like super
Yeah,
quickly.
and some people don't even look at the stories.
Yeah. I only look at like the stories that I want to look at.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just,
I
like,
think most people
4 or 5
I
stories.
think most people basically do that subconsciously. I think, whether they mean to or not, which is part of the reason why we put the podcast on Facebook. I mean, like I dislike Facebook greatly, but you can't sit there and deny that shareability.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
there's no
just think
alternative.
about. I mean, we don't have I don't have a personal Facebook anymore, but back whenever we could just share whatever we want, like I got all my memes from Facebook.
Yeah.
I could share with and tag who I wanted to onto my feed, and that would just be there, and other people would see it posted. Like,
Or we'll be a bit more generic, or we'll be a bit more quiet, or like I don't know what you call it, whatever about this, or the group.
yeah,
It went from like 5 people to what 1,600 in
Yeah.
a matter of like 4 hours.
yes.
That got out of hand fast. That whole sit back with your cup of coffee. Wow, that escalated quickly. But
That was also. I mean, there was a reason.
there was a
for
lot
it.
of problems with that one. Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram definitely leans more towards younger generations, and I also think that older generations just don't interact with social media as much, and
They definitely don't.
and if they do, they're worse than our generation.
Yes.
In the sense of like I think I see more adult, like I guess adulter adults than us that sit on their phones and like just get sucked into their phone.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The amount of stuff that I see my dad shares on Facebook is it's just absurd. Like I don't know, is your dad, you don't have Facebook anymore. My bad. I go on Facebook and like about 45% of what's on my feed is like random shit that my dad has shared.
Oh, my dad's always on Facebook Flea Market.
Yeah.
That's useful. That's something I wish I still
Yes.
had.
While we're on the topic of Facebook, do we want to talk about the have you or someone you know been exposed to extremist content
Yeah.
Oh,
on
boy.
Facebook?
Do you know?
I haven't
someone
gotten
that
a
is that?
notification about it yet, so
Facebook is basically sending a post saying, "Hey, if you know an extremist, tell on them."
yes.
If you get it, report Zuckerberg. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. It's like, you know how are you still on Facebook or not?
Yes, I
Yes.
still have a Facebook. Do I
So
use it
you know
now?
how like everything now on Facebook has a little warning about how COVID vaccines are safe and shit.
Yes, I have
It's-
seen that.
Take that little bubble and it's like extremist content as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And on top of that, the Biden administration basically defines an extremist as someone who still believes that the Constitution is the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sad face.
so everyone listening, you're probably a quote unquote extremist.
It happens to the best of us, I'll tell you.
I want to touch on that little COVID mention that you had there. Apparently,
Yeah.
there's some Delta variant going around now. That's now this is as per our local news source.
They
on
say
TV
like
that I
it's
saw
more
yesterday.
contagious or
Yes,
whatever.
it's apparently a bit more contagious, and the vaccine that we're getting is not going to help it much.
Actually, no. They say that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to worry about it. But I can also tell you that I've literally had COVID like twice, and it's just like the fucking flu.
Not only that, it's
Like,
just,
I'm
it,
not
like,
gonna say
liter-
anything because if we say magic words about it, then the whole channel gets taken down.
Oh
so-
yeah, correct.
yeah.
I love the COVID vaccine YouTube. Thank you. I'm gonna go get like 7 right now.
right now. I don't have anything to say one way or the other, even though I very, very much do.
that's why you don't speak about the bad.
That's why we said post-show or pre-show to not bring that up,
We're gonna bring it up.
or just bring it up. I guess.
Regardless.
We did it
Regardless,
live.
the next topic I want to get on. Did you guys see? Apparently, the Biden wants to. He says the war in Afghanistan is going to be over on August 31st.
That's hilarious.
You could just
And
determine
with
that that's
the
going to be over.
same, and in
over.
well, as soon as he said this, and started, because he has started pulling troops out of Afghanistan.
Al Qaeda is just coming in and taking over.
Yeah, they're
essentially,
taking, they're basically taking over all the stuff, and I saw a post from John Burke after he had made this post saying like, this is exactly what's going to happen soon. Bagram, which is the biggest Air Force base in Afghanistan at the moment, it's like the safest place currently in Afghanistan, is going to fall. And he made the point that basically all the lives lost fighting for that and to free the people there from ISIS, from Al Qaeda, from these terrorist organizations was all for naught.
I mean, that's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think in any sort of way that like the general population feels like Al Qaeda just kind of flowed out of existence since Bin Laden died?
See, I'll answer this with a broader view of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that 65 to 80% of the population are absolutely clueless
About what's going on
about everything.
in the
I think
rest
they
of the
just
world.
care about what's going on in their little daily lives,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want anything to do with anything out there. They have their bubble, and that's all they care about. We even know people in our group that are exactly like that. They
Mm-hmm. Yes.
just care about their bubble, and anytime they have to think about something outside of the bubble, it
becomes a strain.
It's a strain. It is such an inconvenience for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That I think the majority of the world is absolutely the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about this anecdotally. It might just be our area here, but I see that more than not. So to answer your question, I think most people I don't want to say, I don't even know if I would say don't care.
Like, because it's not in the news, people just aren't aware that Al Qaeda still is alive and well in Afghanistan.
I don't think people. I agree. I just don't think people care. I also think Americans have a very, very skewed view of the world as opposed to, say, other countries.
I was gonna bring that up, too.
I've talked about this with you guys before, in that most Americans kind of see the world as like this happy-go-lucky fucking rainbows and unicorns place, whereas the rest of the world and most of these other developing or development nations that are just not the United States are just totally backwards ass, just totally ravaged by war and revolution and other terrible
Well, yeah,
shit.
there's that, but even on a smaller scale from that, the United States has basically two bordering countries. It's Canada and Mexico. And the majority of the people in the United States don't really live on those borders, meaning you can drive for miles, like thousands of miles, and still be in the same country, and still like have to follow the same laws and stuff like that. Whereas in places like Europe or basically anywhere else, countries are much smaller and they are much closer together. So there's this that's why I say the worldview of the United States, because we are so disconnected, I would say, from other places. Like even if you go to Canada, it's like United States light.
Yeah, I mean, it basically is.
Besides Trudeau
America
and
light.
his communist ways, but
But the people there.
That's part of the light version, is that you don't get all the nice things.
yeah. But like I hear it in people around here and stuff like that, or there's still like this resentment of like Muslim people, and I just after having gone to the Middle East and after having met people that are Muslim and stuff like that, this is why I really don't like religion, just simply because these people are like, oh yeah, we're gonna go kill some Talibans, blah blah. Like, it's so. To me, you sound like an idiot whenever you're saying that.
Well, even at that, it's like absolutely not Christian to even talk like that.
Yeah, and like that whole like that again. That's why I say like the perspective of the American, like average American, is like that of a sheltered child.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, absolutely. And see that, like you were saying, like I'll go back to your Muslim comment there. It's like I view that the same way that I view the whole race thing that we've talked about. It's like who cares?
Yeah,
I don't care. You know, I care about how one acts towards me.
right.
That defines it. It's like if they sit there and they start, they start a conversation. They're nice. They're respectful.
Their character.
Their
not their
character.
physical
I mean, I get like
Physical
especially that-
features or background or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
It really doesn't matter.
Even that doesn't. The background doesn't matter. I don't care less what they look like, what color their skin is, what creed they are. I don't care. You know, as long as they're a respectful person and they're not gonna like basically catch me on fire when I'm standing there for nothing. Like, but seriously, like I don't care. And the Muslim thinks the same way. It's like who cares?
That's why I say. I mean, I know it's an unpopular opinion to most people, but I think religion does a lot to divide people.
It is. I would argue that it's been the most divisive force in human history.
I mean,
And like
crusades.
at least the last,
I think
at least
that,
the last like, I'd say the last 3,000 years.
Yeah.
World War II.
I think that
No,
weak.
way more than that.
I mean, that was just an example.
No,
World War II
religion
wasn't fought over religion.
Religion is a lot more divisive than World War II was.
I think that weak or simple-minded people let religion do that type of things to them, because like obviously I don't show it to you guys, but like I'm a somewhat religious person. It's still there for me,
Same.
but it doesn't govern my life
No, it's something.
or want me to be a hateful person towards other people.
I've
Like
always seen.
the faith still has its ideals and stuff that are beneficial to assisting you in being a good person and wanting to better yourself. But weak and simple-minded humans let religion control their lives and want them to do things that are absolutely not Christian.
I can somewhat agree to that. I just think religion's a good way to live a good life, but not follow it word for word.
Correct. Yeah.
See,
And the way you put it's pretty
Like
pretty good.
there are people that blindly follow the Old Testament as like rule, whereas the Old Testament in the Bible is meant to just be stories and just like don't basically just like
From a
don't do
Christian
this stuff.
perspective,
Yeah,
yeah.
from a
Yes.
Christian perspective. Yeah.
You see, this is the way I've always looked at it. The way I've always said it. The religion that you choose, even if it's atheism, is between you and your God. If you
Right.
don't believe in it, it's fine.
Absolutely.
But the religion is a spiritual thing. You should look for spiritual solutions to spiritual problems, and you should look for physical solutions to physical problems.
correct.
Those two should not be intertwined.
I like that.
Not saying that you can't do them at the same time. Like if you say you believe in praying before taking a trip or something, like a journey, like give me a strength to do this. That's totally different. You know, that is keeping your spiritual side of what you're doing in balance while your physical side carries over. But I'm not going to sit there and pray for this mouse to move.
Right.
That doesn't sit in my head.
Yeah.
And again, that's my opinion
Yeah.
on it, but that's how I've always viewed things.
Yeah.
And
Or like praying before meals. My dad is a big believer in praying before meals. It's like that's fine.
see, I don't really
yeah.
think I don't really have an opinion one way or another
Yeah.
on that. I think if
That's kind of like a do as you please type thing.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I
Like it doesn't hurt one way or another.
Yeah,
It's just
no.
like a thank you for this food.
I'm
type-
not. Yeah,
type
I'm not
thing.
gonna
Yeah.
get mad about that.
No,
or
no,
anything
that-
like that.
yeah.
But whenever my thing is,
I get what you're trying to
don't
say.
shove religion down other people's throats
Exactly.
that don't.
Exactly.
and that's why I say it's
Yeah.
between you and your
Yeah,
God.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
It's
That's
a-
and I understand that completely. I just wanted to like throw my interpretation in there into
Right.
how I.
I mean, we're all agreeing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we all
absolutely. We
agree.
all agree here.
That's
Yeah.
why I don't really talk about it because it's
Right.
it's none of anybody's business but mine.
Exactly.
Now, if somebody wants to ask me about it and they ask about it, like, sure, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what I think, what I believe. Chances are you're probably gonna agree with me, but but otherwise, no, I don't talk about it. It's not my place to talk about it because I don't want to create that point of conflict because there's just no need for it. I mean,
Why does my relationship with my God have anything to do with how you perceive me?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a one-to-one thing between you and the man upstairs.
Until you start taking your relationship with God and trying to force that same relationship
See,
on
onto other
everyone else.
See, that's a big
Exactly.
that's a big no for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That's not how it should be because it
Hard
should be
no.
just something you do unless you seek out a place that that's part of it like a church.
Like a church,
Like
yeah.
everyone has a similar thing, and they want to like it's no different than like a community or like on a subreddit.
A com-
Yeah. A subreddit for religion.
I mean, essentially,
sound-
that's
Reddit
what,
IRL.
Doesn't that sound like a terrible place?
that's what it is, though.
Reddit is a cesspool. Let me tell you.
Well, just as an example, like these small communities, like there are local churches, and like the same group of people usually go to the same church, and then they're all buddies and friends, and they have cookouts and all
Yeah.
whatever, or whatever other religions do.
Yeah.
It's they are communities the same way that a car community is a car community, like a car scene that meets up every Friday or however it goes.
Because you're connecting with people based on a common belief or
Right.
a common interest.
Right.
Yeah.
So like where you go to church, you have the common interest or belief in and hopefully the same God. Cars, you're like, I like things that sit on wheels. I mean, just boiling it way down. Because like not everything sits on wheels.
Hell, I mean, I like the whole comment about hopefully it's the same God. My buddy in Qatar, who was Muslim, he went to Christian churches just to see to
Yeah.
gain perspective.
Well, isn't what Muslims believe in the Allah? That's the same God.
So
It is the
yes,
same God,
They,
yeah.
they
Yes.
believe in the same God. However, they don't believe that Jesus is
the
their
prophets.
prophet.
The prophets are
Jesus
different.
is
Yeah.
a prophet.
He is a
And-
prophet, but
yeah,
he's
but-
not the
and
Muslim
Muslim.
prophet.
Yes.
He's not.
He's not Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammad is their Messiah, whereas
Correct.
Jesus is Christianity's
Correct.
Messiah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in Judaism, there is no Messiah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the. I mean, those are the differences below.
Judaism, they're like, get that Jesus guy out of here.
Yeah, but in Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim or Islam, excuse me, all what they believe in are all the same.
They all
the
believe
same
in the
one,
same one God.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
all
it's
the
the
same.
like
Monotheistic.
Yeah.
Same
the
God.
same entity. Yeah.
They
But-
all have they all follow teachings from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
However, Judaism doesn't have the New Testament because that's after Jesus.
Yes.
And I don't know.
The Torah.
Islam has the Quran, which I don't know.
The Quran and the Torah. Or
The Torah is
no, they have the
Juda-
Quran.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The Torah
Yeah.
is for Judaism.
yeah.
The
I
Quran.
don't know. I'm fairly certain off the top of my head that they do follow the Old Testament. It might be just in the Quran.
Okay.
Could be. I'm not
Yeah.
sure on that.
'Cause I feel because Old Testament teachings are all before Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense for all three of them to follow teachings of the Old Testament.
Genesis is badass.
What I just think is crazy is that religion has caused this many problems throughout the course of humanity.
What else did they
What
have
else?
to do in 1100 AD?
well,
I don't know, maybe like
Fight a
advanced
holy war
technologies.
sounds good.
You don't believe in the same guy I believe in. Let's just kill each other.
Fight a holy war for the Holy Land.
4 of them, in fact.
They fought more than 4.
fought-
let's topple an
There's like
empire
12.
while
I
we're
think
at
there
it.
was 12.
I've been watching a lot of
Simple history.
ancient history videos that center around like 1500 and below.
Right.
A lot of ancient history up to like the fall of the Byzantine Empire. I felt like just getting nuggets of information from that time period.
Pretty
lately.
interesting
So,
stuff.
Yeah, I just like to like watch random history documentaries and stuff.
Before the Dark Ages, there was mass knowledge, and then
But learning
Stuff it
learning
out.
about stuff like the ancient Greeks and Romans and like Mesopotamians and like all of those like ancient empires and whatnot is actually really interesting because in American school like you don't touch on
No,
that
you don't
very
touch on
much.
it very deeply.
It's touched on.
They say
but you don't-
stoicism once, probably in like a 6th grade social studies
Right.
book,
Yeah,
and
there-
then you never talk about
yeah,
it.
there was actually a group of people, the Stoics.
Yeah.
There were a whole entire I don't want to say a cult, but there was a whole entire sect of people that were literally the Stoics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, check it if you want something interesting about ancient history. Look at pre-dynastic Egypt. And-
Pre-dynastic Egypt.
Yeah, like
Okay.
before the pharaohs and stuff like that. Look at some of the items that they found from that, like Egyptian items that are all Byzantine or that are all Sumerian in origin and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So there was pre-dynastic trade kingdoms back in the day. Like they find like first dynasty Egyptian pharaohs and stuff buried with Sumerian items that show like animals that were completely foreign to that area. So it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to take in information from a time period where the Mediterranean was the
center of the world, basically.
It was the world. The nations surrounding the Mediterranean Sea was the whole world for a
Yeah.
point in time, which is very interesting.
That sounds like the first Holy Roman Empire.
So on that topic, what's interesting to me is
Which is it's also the foundation for modern
for
modern
Western
day.
modern
Western civilization.
It is, yeah.
What's interesting to me is how like if you look at the Native Americans in America whenever like westernized Europe came over in like 1600s, what was the point in Europe and in the Middle East, Asia, whatever, they were all able to progress.
They had like some sort of like scientific revolution.
Whenever Europeans got to the United States, Indians had never seen guns.
Right.
What are those sticks you got?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Just a
So,
ton
like,
of
out of all of the progression of time.
like
and
why
science,
in America did that not happen?
No
on
scientific
a
advancement,
similar
like, whatsoever.
Yeah, it was very like Native Americans were relatively primitive.
It's probably because they just believed in that primitive lifestyle, like living off the land and just like living a more natural life rather than.
Yeah.
Culture probably had something to do with it. I would
It
agree
could
with
be,
that.
yeah,
That's what I
because
would
they
think.
had their religions.
I would also imagine it would have to do something with the resources in the area because gunpowder was invented in China,
Right.
and I would imagine that maybe they had a wider availability of sulfur. What's it? Sulfur, saltpeter and charcoal, right? Is what
Right.
gunpowder is. I think. Maybe
But
not.
for the most part, I have no idea. Did Native Americans have swords or like steel or iron?
No, it
No,
was
they
obsidian.
forged everything with stone for the
Obsidian.
most part. Obsidian.
Yeah, they
Okay.
carved obsidian. Was like
Okay.
was like the sharp thing, or they just use regular stone,
Mm-hmm.
or like or like semi quartz type things. Like think arrowheads.
Right. Yeah.
I mean that's the technology they have. But they didn't have
So they didn't even make it past. They didn't even get to the Bronze Age.
no there was no
Like
metals.
civilization.
And they didn't even have
revolution.
like carved swords because you couldn't make a sword out of rock. It would crack. It's too
Right,
fragile.
right, yeah.
Arrowheads are like glass, you know.
Yeah.
Obsidian is literally glass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
It's
literally.
rock glass.
And you know,
It's-
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
I guess you
not
could
literally
call it that.
glass. It is as brittle as glass.
Right.
So they literally were able to make small items of that and hook it to sticks. So like you're saying, primitive, I mean, not being offensive, it straight up was.
Yeah. Whereas in
They
Europe and stuff, they had
Yeah, like-
iron swords and armor and like
Mhm.
pretty
Well,
high tech technology
for the
for the
time.
time.
Europeans show up and they're like, "Hey,
Hey,
you guys want to
look at
shoot
this."
each other with these projectile launching things?"
Hey, you got a license for that? Now, here's a question. I don't actually know the answer for this.
The Europeans
Did-
show up with their
did the
muskets. The
did the
Indians just
Mayflower
like, do you
have
have an
cannons?
FFL for that?
Cannons.
It
12
did.
Ship carried
cannons.
12 cannons.
So the Mayflower had cannons on it.
I mean, that would make sense.
It would make sense
That,
for
that makes
traveling.
sense because I'm sure piracy was at a peak at that time, right?
Well, so here's another fun little tidbit of information. So prior the birth of like the American ideal
Mhm.
of like this like freedom and self-reliance and not being governed by these totalitarian regimes was early English piracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that was it. 'Cause
Yeah.
They basically gave you a free pass, do whatever you want.
Yes.
Where were the Vikings in all this?
The Vikings
At
were
this point,
The
they were
Vikings
gone.
named
they were dead by
Greenland.
then.
Yeah,
The Vikings named Greenland Iceland and Iceland Greenland,
They did
and
that
then they
to
they
left.
were
people.
the first trolls.
Oh,
They really were.
this is such a
Well, so the Vikings
Oh.
Steampunk
during
as fuck.
the like 1000s to like 1100s, they were pillaging Britain, and then post pillaging Britain, they started looking, or they may have looked even prior to that. But like, if you watch, there's like some great like early medieval shows that I enjoy watching. The Last Kingdom on Netflix is
I think it's like steampunk as
Very
hell.
good.
that's pre 1500.
That's sweet.
It's a
Do you want
pre-
to talk about what for our viewers because they can't see our screen? Like what is that?
Oh
you're looking
yeah,
at?
so like I know the screen's blurred in the middle here, but we're I was curious what a gun from around Columbus time would look like. That thing's awesome.
is that a rifle or is that a cannon?
That
Or,
is
like-
definitely not
yeah.
a
As
cannon.
a hand.
But yes, it's a hand cannon.
it has
pretty much,
cranky
yeah.
wheels on the side. Actually, that's straight up what those are. Those are roll prisms.
That
Wheel locks. It goes like this and spins.
Interesting.
You imagine just pulling this out, pulls it, spinny wheel thing goes on. You're waiting there. You're staring at the guy that you're wanting to blast away. He's staring at you. You make eye contact for about 15 seconds, and then the thing goes off.
Have you guys ever read historical, like different events in different parts of the world that line up at the same time on the historical timeline?
Crazy, isn't it?
Weird.
Weird.
Very strange.
examples.
It's I can't think of any off the top of my head
So-
because
the
they're all just, like,
Babylon,
super-
Sumerian, ancient Egypt, all 1350 BC, within 20 years. Started at the same time.
There was a Roman emperor that slept with Cleopatra.
Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, well, was it Anthony or was it the guy right before they actually made emperor? Like, weren't they? I always get it mixed up with the whole thing because I couldn't remember if that happened and then that, as a result, that's what started the empire. Because Cleopatra died
Yeah.
and Mark Antony died.
Yes. I don't know the exact specifics, and wasn't Cleopatra on the tail end of Egypt, anyways?
Yes, because
Yes.
after that it became part of the Roman Empire and then Persia and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. So Mark Antony. Let's see. Cleopatra,
Resting place, unlocated tomb somewhere in Egypt. That's interesting.
spouse Cleopatra. Yeah, so he was Yeah, see, he was not an empire or an emperor because this was right before the Roman Emperor thing happened. But I think allegiance Julius Caesar. I think after this is when.
And I mean, look at that 54 to 30 BC. That's 30 years before Jesus is born, technically.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, there's like a lot of
There's a connection between this and Augustus.
there are a lot of very strange instances
He
on
was-
the historical timeline that it just blows your mind. I can't think of any specifics at like off the top of my head, but like I've read a bunch of them and they're just like they're like really weird because it's like you don't think of like those two type of events happening would line up at the same time. Yeah,
These
that right
36
there.
historical facts
Yeah.
will mess with your perception.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did know this one here. Yeah.
Wait, what's this one?
He has 2 living grandchildren. Yes, grandchildren. That's
Wait.
wow.
crazy.
That's crazy there. Wow.
I wonder what kind of knowledge that kind of person has.
Right.
Like if you,
Another way to think about this, there are people who could look at you today in 2018 and say, yeah, my dad was 8 years old when the war started.
Mm-hmm.
no,
No, the
The
Civil
Civil
War.
War. Yeah.
Jeez.
That is interesting.
That's like
yeah, I knew this one here.
Wait, what's this one? Marilyn Monroe and Queen Elizabeth were born in the same year. Here they were both 30 at the time. Meet
it's-
at a movie premiere in London in October.
it's weird because the
1956.
Queen is still alive, but Marilyn Monroe's
Oh,
been
dead for a
you know-
long time.
long gone.
You know what else? Another weird one. I think it's what Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born at the same time.
Really?
Not the same year.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
also
Crazy.
interesting, yeah.
I think that's true.
I've heard that one. Or heard of that.
Oh jeez.
That's
See.
strange.
What?
Harriet the tortoise, who died in 2006, had seen Charles Darwin in person.
Jeez.
That one's weird though because it's an
You see
animal.
Darwin.
Yeah, but tortoises live for a
160
fucking
years.
long time.
They do.
There, that
Woolly
was one-
mammoths were still
Yeah,
alive
that's
while
one
the
of the
Egyptians were
ones that I
building the
actually saw.
pyramids.
Mammoths.
That's actually pretty insane.
Yeah.
That's intense.
I want to
Yeah.
see now. Speaking of mammoths, they I know it always pops up in the news here and there, and it's like they're reviving a mammoth. I hear
didn't know
every
that.
every like few years I see
Listen,
something
man, I'll believe
else.
it when I see it.
Yeah.
Did you know that one, number 5?
I did not know this one here.
Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded. 1428.
That's really hard to comprehend, but
Mhm.
then you think about the timeline and you know that that's 100% right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hard. That's hard to think about.
It rattles your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, but like this is all like just true history that no one ever thinks that like some
Exactly.
things
Yeah,
will
Exactly.
overlap.
Exactly.
Yeah, Oxford 1167.
That's
yeah.
why it feels so uncomfortable because you don't think that they're supposed to align like that.
Oh,
George never knew there were dinosaurs.
number 6. George Washington died in 1799. The first dinosaur fossil was discovered in 1824. So, therefore, George Washington never knew dinosaurs existed.
That's unfortunate.
That's interesting.
They probably tried to reanimate one. I don't know how, but
That makes the pictures of George Washington like riding a
oh,
T-Rex.
I did know this actually.
Yeah. Nintendo was originally founded as like a card company.
A card
or
company.
something.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is true.
And for the viewers that can't see the screen, Nintendo
Oh, okay. Hey.
Nintendo was founded before Jack the Ripper was found.
During
Or
the same
during
time.
the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 8 number 8. Yeah. So this is the one I said. I knew that one. That's
Yep,
that's
I've
kind of
heard
hard
that
to.
one.
And Frank and Martin Luther King Jr. were born at the same time.
Yeah, and you associate them with two dramatically different periods of
eras,
history.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, like the civil
Although it
rights
is not
movement
that
was
super
20 years after World War II.
So another thing, something that I kind of catch on to is I think about how old like my grandparents are,
Right.
and I think about like my grandma was a kid whenever Martin Luther King was talking,
Mm-hmm.
type thing. So like that's
Interesting thinking about the timelines on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Today's oldest living tree was already 1,000 years old when the last mammoth died. Interesting.
dang.
Very interesting.
Let's see here.
I knew this one.
Oh,
Did not know that.
I did not.
The original Star Wars came out the same year that France executed their last person via guillotine.
In France, it's called a guillotine. See, by the time the Pilgrims made it to Plymouth Rock, there was a palace of the governors in New Mexico. Interesting.
What is a palace of the governors?
A palace that belongs to the governors. That's what it is.
That's
Of
it.
New Mexico.
This 1620 stone is in this. It's like a fenced-in area that you can go look at it. Let's see. Swiss women got the right to vote the same year the U.S. drove a buggy on the moon.
Wow.
And you want to talk about us
Yeah.
being bad?
We did that back in like the
The 20s.
20s. Yeah. That's how prohibition started.
Whoa, what?
What?
The fax machine was invented the same year the first wagon crossed the Oregon Trail.
I wonder what the 1st
I've-
facts ever said.
I've read more into this one, being someone whose profession is in telephony, and it's not fax in the same sense that we see fax today as
Oh, yeah, I'm
as
sure.
analog phone lines. It was more on
Was
the
it mechanical?
It was probably
It
something
was
along
probably
the thing on the
along
far
the
right.
line of that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying,
More
something-
like a telegraph type.
Telegraph
type
that
thing.
like taps like a
Yeah.
it prints
They
it
would
on the
inscribe
other
it on
end.
paper. Yeah.
Go look up what the first fax ever sent said. I guarantee you it was like,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
That yeah, look, it's like a phonograph with a
Yeah.
reel on it.
Yeah.
it probably said sup, lol.
Well, I mean, for it to be the 1843, it had to be purely mechanical.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, telephone. When was telephone invented?
I think
Bell
the
invented the telephone.
Like 1820 something.
no
Oh god, I wouldn't know that.
telegraph.
telegraphone.
There's a couple things going on. at once there.
Telephone invention.
I don't remember when Bell made it. I think late 1800s.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it was like
Invention
1870s.
It's like if you
I'm
look
thinking
up
1870s.
if you look
as well.
up like
yeah.
AT&T,
1876.
if you look up like AT&T on Wikipedia, its founding date is
Oh,
with
boy.
Bell Telephone.
So telegraph existed before they crossed the Oregon Trail. I did not know that.
Huh.
I didn't realize they had electricity on a scale like manageable by then.
Man, this podcast is taking a turn.
You signed up for
Hey,
you
history.
signed up for Real Talk from We Valiant Few. You know what you get. Except you
Actually,
don't, 'cause
you
we
don't
don't.
know what you
Because we
get.
don't either.
Yeah. We're real quick. Where did we start before we ended up devolving into this conversation?
We were at current events,
We're at religion.
and then
we
we went
were
to
at
religion.
religion, that's
and
where
now
it
we're
started.
talking about fax
It
machines.
started with religion, and then we started on ancient civilization.
Yes.
Number
and then we got to
14.
here.
You could take the London Underground to the last public hanging in the UK in 1868.
Have you looked into any of the London Underground? Like, there's entire sections of London that are straight. They straight up basically built like planking over the buildings and laid roads.
Really?
There's entire massive like crazy elaborate underground cities underneath there that all like walk down like you go through this convoluted series of manholes and all of a sudden you're on a street that's underground. Like
That's
like
sick.
you're the first episode of Futurama, how like they're underground, there's like entire cities. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically like that. Except it's not like
Jeez.
it's not like 100 miles up in the air.
Look up what the London Underground is. Maybe you can see some pictures.
Oh yeah, there's pictures.
I'm sure there is. Is this public? Like, can you go into the
No.
London Underground still?
It's
No.
probably similar to the French
The
catacombs.
catacombs.
There's a movie about the French catacombs. It's,
Yes.
God, what is it called? As Above, So Below, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's like the entire like,
Jeez.
like see this is all like distribution equipment here for the city,
Mhm.
and these are the old streets that are underneath there. Yeah, well, these are bomb shelters and stuff that all exist underneath there.
As I'm sure they were made during the wars.
This is not what I'm trying to find out. We can look. Yeah, there's like this is one of the ways that people get down. It's like this big twisted access elevator, which the ducting and stuff is for utilities. We can look post show and see if we can. There's a video that has a really good view of what some of this stuff looks like underneath it. We'll like I said, we'll check that out post show.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Princess Diana and Mother Teresa died days apart in 1997.
Sad.
It's
Yeah.
also when I was born.
Same.
Nice.
There's some connections.
Imagine not being born the year before.
Yeah. NASA was exploring space by the time scientists could agree on plate tectonics. Ow.
They agreed on
We
them?
we decided to go to space before figuring out the world.
Screw this. Let's go. So, I mean, we went to space before we understand anything about the ocean.
True.
I still think there's a lot of the ocean that we don't understand.
90.
We know.
90%.
I'm
we
convinced
know
Atlantis
nothing
is still
about
out
the
there.
ocean.
Oh god.
Oh,
Oh. Ooh, that's a tough one.
oh boy.
Prisoners arrived at Auschwitz just days after McDonald's was founded.
That's rough.
1940.
That's rough, man.
That's
crazy.
tough, man.
I wonder what a burger.
Oh,
at
no.
McDonald's. Oh no, the comment. I'm not loving it. That's terrible.
That's awful.
A glass of water.
Okay.
Oh, and the light count is 69, so there's a nice in there too.
Nice.
I think everyone in the meme community will know to never like that.
Oh,
ever
that's
again.
brilliant.
But I wonder what a McDonald's hamburger would have tasted like back then.
Like,
Like
a,
an actual
a
hamburger.
was it like a hamburger?
Probably like an
Probably
actual-
a lot like what a hamburger tastes like now if you
from like Burger Hut
get,
or something.
Yeah, if you get ground beef from like a local farm or something.
Yeah.
Like I still get ground beef from my grandparents that
So-
I imagine would taste like a burger
The first McDonald's
70
was
years
nothing
ago.
more than like a regular like family-owned.
It's right here.
burger
business,
joint.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Number 18, the last known widow of a Civil War vet. His picture over here. In 2004, 89 years old. Died in 2008. What would it be? 93 years old. The same year that Obama was elected for the first time.
What? Wait. Last known widow.
Yeah, she must have been. She must have been really.
Young.
Yeah. So, 2008 minus
wait.
93. 1915.
Born 1915.
That's not possible.
No.
Well,
Double
a
check
widow
that.
of a vet. That so,
So that
would
means
have
she
had to
was-
Yeah.
marry the dude.
he would have been like,
would've been, like,
60,
super old.
and she could have
Yeah.
been like,
Yeah.
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 So, because
That's
like
weird.
1915, so minus 1865 is the end of the Civil War. So he would have been 50 when she was born.
Oh, that's weird.
What the fuck?
That's an odd one to think about.
It's possible though.
Change. We can believe.
Wait, hang on.
Thank
She
you.
was
veteran-
19 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So there it is.
William M. Cantrell.
86.
86.
She was
Sheesh.
19 when she married an 86-year-old?
She wanted to have
Got
the
that
title.
money. Get that VA benefit.
Oh my god.
I knew this one.
Didn't offer calculus classes.
Harvard University didn't offer calculus classes for the first few years after the school was established because calculus hadn't been invented yet. That's kind of misleading. You don't invent math; you discover it.
Right.
That's right.
Do you know why he discovered? Do you know why Newton discovered calculus? We'll say it that way.
I do not.
I don't.
Because he could not figure out some of his physics problems,
Really?
and he had to determine a different type of math to solve them.
Really?
Yes,
Imagine
actually.
being that fucking smart to just invent.
I
math.
couldn't figure it out,
me.
so I invented my own math.
One of my
Couldn't be me.
Y'all mind if I invent?
Y'all mind if I praise the Lord?
If I invent calculus.
It's just a meme.
I love this meme so much.
Y'all mind if I invent calculus?
Love that meme.
That's funny. Ecstasy was invented the same year the Titanic sank.
That explains a lot.
Oh no.
They were having raves on the Titanic.
And they forgot to turn the wheel a little bit too far.
The unsinkable in quotes. Dang. Imagine thinking of them on the Titanic.
Imagine
Taking
taking
them.
them on the Titanic.
Orville Wright was still alive when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed.
That's really not.
Yeah, that one's.
That's not crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
no,
that's
that makes
uh,
sense.
19,
40,
ni-
what,
World War
42
One and
years.
World War Two were so close together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
not.
And that's-
I didn't know Wilbur Wright died in 1912. That's less than 10 years after they flew the plane. I didn't realize he died that fast.
Did he? I wonder if he died in like a tragic accident or something.
I don't know.
I don't remember their death.
Charlie Chaplin and Adolf Hitler were both born in 1889. Interesting. I did.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I
Yeah,
did-
Have
I
you
did
have
know
you
that.
ever seen Charlie Chaplin impersonating Hitler?
It's pretty. It's.
It's hilarious.
Did you know
yeah.
that Char-
Absolutely great.
you know Charlie Chaplin lost a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest?
Yes.
No,
yes, I
did
do.
he really?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
They were even born the same week. Chaplin had the mustache first.
Huh. I
Yeah.
wonder if that was a popular way to style your mustache. at
Yeah,
the time.
actually, it was. Yeah. But Hitler did it because of the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eiffel Tower was inaugurated in 1889, also the same year that Chaplin and Hitler were born, for the World's Fair. Same year that Starry Night was painted. Busy year.
Busy year.
Eiffel. The Ottoman Empire existed to the second to the last time the Chicago Cubs won the World Series.
I knew about this one too.
That's
Yeah.
kind of hard to comprehend.
Ottoman Empire.
The Ottoman Empire was the last standing empire in the current world.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's
and
correct,
also what's the Ottoman Empire is crazy too because
Yeah.
in World War One, I talked about this. Part of it I talked about it whenever I was talking about the Armenian genocide. But the Ottoman Empire, like, just think of this like medieval, like, empire that had survived up to like early 1900 modern age and waging war against the rest of modern Europe and America at that point.
Because the Ottomans have been around. The Ottoman Empire has existed since like the times of like
1600s.
ancient 1600s.
It was-
I
it
thought they were
wasn't
around
it
even
part
like
of the
during
Roman
Rome.
Empire?
Okay, so there was the Roman Empire, and that turned into the Syrian Empire.
Right.
And the Syrian Empire went through some development, and I think that was the Assyrian Empire. I think that fits in there somehow.
Yeah.
And then that turned into the Ottomans. There's probably, I think there's a couple more in between there. But yes, it's all tied to that. You know what else is really hard to think about? Turkey, which is basically what is left of the Ottoman Empire.
Right.
What's the capital of Turkey?
Istanbul.
What is Istanbul?
Istanbul is Constantinople,
Oh,
Yeah.
is it really?
which
Yeah.
was the
I never
which
knew
was the
that.
capital of Rome.
of Byzantine.
Byzantine,
Capital of
which
the Holy
was
Roman Empire.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, Istanbul was what's left of Constantinople.
that's crazy.
Interesting, huh?
That's I've never gave that much thought.
Look
That's
where it's
very
at.
strange.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. That fact. Oh, that's weird.
The Colosseum.
That's what I mean about touching up on your ancient history and your not European history, is that you get to learn shit like that.
Well, see, I love history, and
Yeah.
some of this stuff, like, you're very well aware that the timelines, are like, oh well, this is this and this is this, but you never think to compare
Never
them
put
because they're
them
like
together,
two
yeah.
completely different, like,
Right.
two completely different cultures. Like, oh wow, that happened at the same time.
Yeah, like sports
Yeah.
culture in the Ottoman Empire.
Sports ball.
Sports
Yeah.
ball.
I love sports.
The
ball.
sports ball.
Two totally different things, but
The,
they
Col-
happen on the
the
same time.
Colosseum in Rome, Italy, was unveiled in 80 A.D. around the same time the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles and the Bible were written.
That one doesn't surprise me.
No, that actually
makes
that makes a
sense.
lot of sense
Yeah.
actually.
For some reason, I thought the Colosseum was older.
Yeah, I thought the Colosseum was older.
Nope.
But the timeline saying that
Yeah.
it was done here, that makes sense. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's not surprising. Let's see here. The first underground line in London was opened January 10th, 1863, which is the Civil War.
at that time, yeah, that's right.
That's how they did it.
No monorails at that
Choo-choo.
time.
Again, that doesn't really surprise me that
No.
much. It's just, that's just
That's
kind of a
like
cool
that
thing.
just sounds about right. Industrial evolution. You know.
Oh,
Didn't know that.
Charlie Chaplin died in 1977, the same year Apple was incorporated. Huh. We're all like, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Very interesting.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was published in the summer of 2007, the same year the first iPhone model was released. Okay, now that's
a weird one to think about because we lived through that one and you don't really think about that.
You ever see the original? Have you ever watched the original keynote for the iPhone?
I have not.
No.
It's pretty
Is
interesting.
it interesting?
Yeah.
Steve Jobs was he was a greater innovator than Tim Cook ever will be.
Yeah,
in
there's
my opinion.
Absolutely.
people like that. There's a special gift that they have. I mean, they can just see things beyond
Yeah.
what normal people can see. Tim Cook is good at running a company.
Yes.
But he's not an inventor.
He's
Not
not
like
he's not
Jobs
an
was.
innovator
No.
like Steve Jobs.
The Brooklyn Bridge was built during the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Wow.
Okay, that one's a bit harder. That one's a bit harder for me.
Cowboys
Where's Custer at?
in a ditch somewhere.
Right over here. Buffalo Bill Cody was alive the same time the Germans were bombing with Zeppelins. I thought he was much older than I thought. Like, I thought there was about a 50-year difference there.
That's insane.
Air raid. Yeah, look, the 19. Oh, so he was that, but he lived until 1917.
So he was on his way out.
He was definitely on his way out.
Yeah.
Pablo Picasso died in 1973, the same year Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon was released. that I knew
Yeah.
that he was up in the 70s.
Yeah. Although some of the artists have weird like timelines.
Yeah.
It's like some of them are super old and some of them are relatively new.
That's cool.
Microsoft was founded while Spain was still a fascist dictatorship. Is this Franco?
I believe so.
Yeah, Franco.
I never realized that post World War II, Spain continued to be fascist.
I actually did not know that at all.
I knew they
Yeah.
were fascist during
I never
World War
really
II.
paid. I've never paid much attention to Spain at all
They-
during that.
They helped the
time
Nazis
period.
after the
Neither
war.
did I.
Did they?
There's entire U-boat pens in Spain that the Nazis used to get out. And they Franco basically just like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Spain. I never really paid much attention to Spain.
Well, Spain doesn't really
during
talk
World
except
War II.
whenever we fought them
Right.
in Mexico. And
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on April 15th, 1865, just a few months before the Secret Service was created.
Lincoln
there any
being
tie to that?
assassinated
Whoa,
is the
why
do you
reason-
think they made
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
He was
Yeah.
this was actually the catalyst for the creation of the Secret Service.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not I knew that.
Yeah.
That's not surprising at all. Prince William and Kate Middleton were married on April 29th, 2011, just a few days before Osama bin Laden was killed.
I remember that day walking into school.
Oh yeah, it was like all over the news.
Yeah.
I woke up in the morning to sit down at the table for breakfast, and my mom was like, "Do you know what happened last night?" I was like, "No," and she said, "Oh well." we got-"
SEAL Team 6!
Yeah, she's like, "Well, we got him," and I was like, "Oh, cool."
That was a big talk at school.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
35. Spanish surrealist Salvador Dali died in 1989. The same year, actor Daniel Radcliffe, actress Hayden Panettiere, whatever, and Houston rapper Kurgo Bangs were born.
I don't really care about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't care
people
about
don't
that.
care.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't care.
The Magna Carta was signed in 1215. The same year, Beijing was captured and burned by the Mongols under the direction of Genghis Khan.
It's an
That's
interesting
cool.
one.
There's a lot
Yeah.
going on there.
That's a lot, yeah.
That's a lot.
He's gonna hit his head off this door. That's written in non-English.
Mongols were too tall for the Great Wall doors.
36 historical facts, and this is 37.
Why is
Oh,
there
it's a
37?
repeat.
It's a repeat.
Why are they repeating it?
They're repeating it.
Why are they repeating these? This is a different picture.
But hopefully, you all found our deep dive into this blog post.
I wonder how many. Go back to our live. I want to see how many people actually stuck with us through all of that.
I
That's
don't even know if it's live, to be honest.
we are
Oh, no,
live.
we're still live.
I was saying warning there.
6 playbacks.
That's
The
fine.
warnings should be resolution. Something. This is not right. Something is like on our end over here. Everything's running right. So there's a disconnect between it and YouTube. We can figure this out. This number is not the same as this number,
No.
and I don't know why.
Regardless, I think that's a good place to end the party there. Anyone disagree? Anyone else have anything else they'd like to add?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I got my history filled.
That was a nice little deep dive into history.
Oh yeah, so we should
I was
touch on
gonna
that.
say I know there's one more point you guys got.
Yeah, that was the point.
So yeah, before we end our podcast today, we would like to talk about the direction that we are headed with Valiant itself.
Yeah, Valiant as an entire
entity,
entity. Yeah. So we're still going to continue the podcast every week, every Thursday live, and you can watch it every Friday on the podcast platforms. We're still doing that. We've decided though that we want to make a bigger influence than just the podcast. We want to develop products that can make people's lives better.
Yeah.
Say it that way. And we're focusing specifically on the what do you call it? Gray man aspect of stuff.
Gray man, civilian,
We're products that promote
specifically,
civilian preparedness.
Yeah, specifically designed for civilians to enhance their preparedness.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good way to say it. We're be coming out with some cool videos on this stuff coming up relatively soon. Stay tuned for that. And this will be stuff that if you want to, you are going to be able to purchase it. So
Yes, and so it's called. We're calling the company itself Valiant Defense, and we will whenever we start like showing off some of the stuff that we've made, the testing, the reviewing, and stuff like that. We'll we'll post it under that name. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, but other than that, that's all I got.
Anyone else?
I didn't think that we were gonna go that far off the rails.
These episodes
what real
always
talks
do.
are for.
They're always interesting.
It was very interesting to see that we went from talking about religion in current events to
Not
the
so current.
historical
event.
Byzantine
timeline.
Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, but the Byzantines were
religious.
surrounded in
Religion.
so it wrapped its way back around.
Yes.
Byzantine Catholicism.
Oh boy, Eastern Orthodox. But thank you for tuning in to We Valiant Few. This has been Real Talk. You can check us out on our social medias at We Valiant Few on Instagram, Facebook.com/We Valiant Few. You can also check us out on YouTube if you're not watching us on there now at youtube.wevaliantfew.com, discord.wevaliantfew.com to engage in the discussion. All of that's on our website, wevaliantfew.com. But that's all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Signing off.